Two tribes have gone to war over Brexit, but this draining national saga was all but forgotten when two footballers' wives, wags, locked horns and the entire nation got the popcorn in. For those who missed this epic clash, a recap. Mrs. Wayne Rooney devised a forensic, elaborate sting operation to find out which follower on her private Instagram account was selling stories to the tabloids. Colleen blocked all her followers, bar one. The leaks continued. Then Wagatha Christie delivered the killer reveal. It's ... Rebecca Vardy's account. Mrs. Jamie Vardy has denied it all and tearfully instructed her lawyers. Now, panel, to the big question of our time. Was this offside or back of the net? Should Colleen have picked up the phone rather than put Mrs. Vardy through trial by Twitter? Or should we accept that social media is where the bloodiest battles are fought these days?
I think it's only right we get our wag on.
Okay, let's do this.
Okay.
So we don't get something on. That suits your dress.
Colleen.
All right, I'll tell you what I've got to say. A few years ago now, someone who I trusted to follow me on my personal Instagram account has been consistently informing the Sun newspaper of my private posts and stories. Now, I know for certain from which account individual it's come from. I've saved the screenshots, all the original stories, which clearly show that just one person has viewed them. It's Rebecca Vardy's account. What have you got to say for yourself?
I'm not having that. Over the years, various people have had access to my Insta, and just this week I found out I was following people I didn't know and had never followed myself. I'm not being funny, but I don't need the money. And what would I gain from selling stories on you, Colleen?
I don't know. You tell me.
That was a very good accent.
No offence to anyone,
There's a serious
please.
point here. Can I read something from Rita Kaganson, who's a professor of politics, because I think it's a really interesting insight. She says, when someone makes an off-colour remark in person, few people respond by gathering everybody to berate the speaker publicly in an Orwellian 2 minutes of hate, and then throw that person out the building, which would be roughly the physical equivalent of an internet pylon. Social media diminishes both the discomfort of seeing our victims suffering and the shame of being seen making them suffer. So does it encourage bullying? Does it encourage this kind of...
I think that's where this conversation goes, and you mentioned it at the end, didn't you? The whole social media. Because, look, in some aspects it's fantastic. You keep friendships going with people the other side of the world. It's an incredible tool for good. You can get research, you can get the Gettysburg Address as quick as... I mean, it's quite extraordinary. Yeah. But on the other side, and I think we're all still learning, in all honesty, about this, on the other side, it can be a very dark force in all sorts of areas. Slurs are made, threats are made, language I wouldn't dream of saying to you or to you in the street, but I can do it hiding behind some weird, bizarre name like Cheeky Coffee or something, and I can say what I like. That is, I would suggest,
I think it's the equivalent of, like, in street protests, when you put a mask on, like you see sometimes far right and far left, Antifa as well, put the mask on. What you're doing is you're basically saying, now I'm no longer a human, I'm an entity involved in a purpose, and you allow yourself, you permit yourself to do things that you wouldn't do in your human definition. So on social media, that anonymous identity is the equivalent of the mask.
Yeah, no, there was an new IRA chap interviewed yesterday on the news who wore a mask for exactly that reason. He wouldn't, say what he was saying if people could see who he was. But on the question of was this fair? Was Colleen fair to do this to a friend, or was she using that, as it were, the surveillance tools of social media to achieve something unjust?
I think it speaks to my point, because in the old days you would have picked up the phone and met
said,
for a
what
cup of
are
coffee
you
and said,
doing?
what the hell are you up to, chum?
Is there a chance that she could have been hacked? Because if there is, then she should have probably spoke to her first.
Yeah. Can we just hear from what the director of the National Centre for Cyber Stalking says, which is extremely pertinent to this? When it comes to social media, I think people are conducting a level of surveillance on one another, especially on ex-partners, which is unhealthy. After a breakup, it is almost impossible to remove a person and their influence from your online feeds. We are now all public figures. We all have a social media profile, and we're all at risk from individuals who may become fixated on what we represent. So even though Colleen and Rebecca Vardy were nationally known figures, this could happen, you know, but in a little village, somebody could cyberstalk someone else and call them out and destroy their lives.
Yeah.
Well, I just need to correct you on something, because you said in your intro that the entire nation has been gripped and
I have.
I have to tell you, I could not care less about this argument
That's
between
because
these
you're
two
a wag
people.
now. You're a competitor.
Yes.
I find
This is your clause coming up.
I find this obsession with other people's lives and this tittle-tattle gossiping. Who's doing what? I find it so embarrassing. I find this airing of dirty laundry on social media classless, inelegant, and just pack it in. If you've got a problem with someone, deal with it privately, please.
I agree, which is why I've been trawling Rachel Johnson's parody Twitter account, and of course I agree entirely with what you're saying. And here are just some of Rachel's supposed entries. Why am I so virulently against Brexit? I'm doing it because I want my kids to have the same opportunities I have had. In the last 3 months, I've been to France, Italy and Greece twice. They will have to choose between Clacton and Skegness. Quelle horreur! And my eye was also drawn to this one. Most people think The Pledge is what the Daily uses for polishing the sideboard. Wake up, gammons. It's the electrifyingly woke TV show featuring me, and co, running rings around old duffer Nick Ferrari. Imagine being called Ferrari and looking like an unmade bed. Thank you very much indeed.
Do you know who runs that?
No, I've been trying. I am doing a cyber-stalking, Colleen wagatha-style operation to try and... I suspected it was my husband, but he denies it.
He denies it. It's
Oh,
so good.
God, it's much funnier than my actual Twitter feed.
But I wonder if, actually, to your central point, it's great for the newspapers. It's great for the media because you've got four powerful people or four headline grabbers.
Wayne Rooney unfollowed
and now
Jamie Vardy.
So Wayne Rooney has to have an argument with Jamie Vardy. And so it might shift papers.
But that is my point. You've just said it'll shift papers.
It might shift
Don't
papers.
you think that is a sad indictment on our society?
But it's always been
these
that way.
people are just held up as like, they've got platforms, they're often seen as role models.
In my life,
I think it's
in
cringe.
my life, I have faced a
of a story.
betrayal by a friend similar to this. Right. And
Were you selling stories
till
to the
this
press?
day, nobody knows. Well, I say nobody knows about it. Obviously, those who were there and witnessed it know about it. But I don't announce it. I don't speak about it. And now I'm not mentioning the name of the friend. And I'm still friends with the person.
Is that quite recent then? This?
No, it is a while. And it's something that is actually unforgivable.
Somebody sold a story about you or did something...
No, a similar betrayal of a friendship, but it wasn't involving selling a story, right?
Okay.
And all I've got to say is that actually, I just think you're right. I think there is some elegance and dignity to not, just shaming people in public when they know they've done something wrong. It's not like the person doesn't think that they did something right.
That's a good point.
Sorry, Jim.
Just a quick one to say, I mean, obviously we are sort of berating social media, but there are lots of positive elements. In fact, there's a Deloitte Global Millennial Survey, and they found that 42% of millennials feel that social media enhances their self-worth. So there is a good side too.
Is that all like the drug-like effects, where every time you get a like and your brain tells you, like, what is it?
Well, also I think sometimes
like
you
crack
learn
cocaine,
a lot.
isn't it?
I think
All
that,
the likes.
think about. I know I watch so many YouTube videos when I'm trying to learn something new, and actually there's inspirational quotes. There's so much positive side.
Thomas the Tank Engine.
I just want to quote.
Makeup tips.
Oh, that's all right. I just essentially use the words elegance and dignity. I don't know you can ever ascribe those to social media, though. Isn't it the absolute antithesis?
No, I meant her, though. She should have called her friend and asked, I think. I basically, what I did after that betrayal is I called the person.
Right.
Did you
and then
admit
we
it?
met. The person knows what they did, has not tried to defend it, ever, once. And I just think there's something more dignified in them knowing that you know that they know,
Wow.
Indeed.
Now the whole world knows where Colleen and Rebecca.
And I do regret it, by the way. I'm really sorry, Majid.
Come on.
I was trying to hide your identity.
Move along, because I want to get off and check my Twitter. Right, we've all heard about knocking on heaven's door, but not so much knocking on the lid of your own coffin. Whilst funerals are usually a time to reflect, remember and celebrate the life of a loved one, it's not often the deceased gets a speaking role. But that's exactly what happened at the burial of Shea Bradley in Ireland last week, where mourners were left in shock after hearing his voice from beyond the grave. The 62-year-old ensured that he got the last laugh at his own send-off, leaving his family and friends in fits of giggles rather than floods of tears.
Hello? 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 Let me out! Where's family? Hello? Hello? Let me out! It's dark in here. Bring the family. Is that priest I can hear? Let me out! Hello? Hello? Hello again. Hello. I just called to say goodbye.
For showing us how to truly go out in style, Shay, here's to you and your famous last words. May you rest in peace. The best bit of all that, by the way, is Majid not having a clue what was going on.
Is he in there?
He's in there. Poor Majid. Right, that's all we've got time for this week on The Pledge. I'll explain jokes to you later.
Sorry, I'm a bit slow.
You guys can join in our debate by searching for us on Twitter. And you can also listen to the show on the go. Just subscribe using Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever you prefer. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.